Hello everyone, this is the Promontory channel. Today we're going to assemble this gearbox. This is a 16-speed ZF 16130 gearbox. This gearbox came from a truck like this. I have a gearbox disassembly and an engine repair video for this truck on my channel. So I'll leave the links in the description under the video. If you haven't seen them and you're interested, you can check them out. So I disassembled this gearbox about a month ago. As soon as it was removed, I took it apart, inspected it right away, washed everything and cleaned it. So everything is already ready for me. I disassembled two gearboxes. The original that came with the car and a spare, just in case. I'll assemble both gearboxes. Not sure yet if I'll show one or both in this video. We'll see. We're putting the maximum number of new parts into this gearbox. And some parts from this gearbox, for example, I've already cleaned some cones, rings and some clutches here. These will go into the second gearbox, so it'll be similar for us. Well, partly from new parts, partly from used ones from this gearbox. So I took it apart about a month ago. As I already said, while we were ordering the parts, while the parts were being delivered, and while I was working on the engine, I just finished it yesterday. I put it here like this and closed it up. So now I'm moving the housing to the workbench and we'll start assembling it. First, we'll begin with assembling the secondary shaft and so on. Well, now everything step by step. So I've already moved everything to the workbench, and as I mentioned before, some parts from this gearbox will go to the second gearbox. Of course, I haven't kept all of this in my head for a month. Now, looking at all this, I realize that I'll have to figure it all out again, remember where everything goes and so on. I mean, what were my plans? Where would I put things? I cleaned the coupling, so I must have planned to install it. We'll remember and review everything as we go. I just want to say it's not good. I took it apart a month ago, and now I have to reassemble it. You can't remember everything anyway. Now I have to look over every part again. Alright, let's go through the spare parts now. I've laid out all the new spare parts on the table for this gearbox installation. I've recently been assembling gearboxes and installing spare parts from CEI, an Italian company. These are genuine Italian parts, not Chinese. Through trial and error, I've found that this is the optimal option for both price and quality. That's why I now use this brand whenever I can. So what else is here? Here we see the same numbers. These are probably cones. Here we also have the same numbers. These are probably rings. Well, basically, now we're going to unpack everything and take a look at it all. Some parts could only be found in the original version, in the original ZF version. For example, some parts could only be found as original ones, original man ones. For instance, this bolt that was broken, which I had to drill out during this assembly, only man had it. Also, some other parts, like these ones for the gear shifter, are only available as original ones too. So, well, the oil seals, obviously we use oil seals. I'll also be using L-ring sealant, that's right. So, it's printed out, let's take a look. As I go, I print each part and compare it, since sometimes the wrong part is ordered or sent. No, really, all sorts of things can happen, so that's the kind of work we have ahead of us now. I printed out each part, checked the number, compared it with the old one, and if everything was fine, I set it aside, and so on. (126 233 006 1296 233 006). We also compare the number 1295, 304, 135, 1295, 304, 135, so everything is perfect. Well, basically, it's kind of obvious that everything should be there, everything should match, but sometimes there are moments it happens occasionally, and I'll also show you why I decided to check this gear. We'll see it. The rollers stayed in place and got worn out by the bearing. One 1295 304 002, 1295 304 002. So basically, I've printed almost everything. This is for the demultiplicator. I'll set this aside for now. We don't need it yet. We'll assemble this now. I still have a few things left to print, like the oil pump and the cylinder for switching the demultiplicator. These are for the second gearbox, so I'll set them aside for now. I've figured it out, set things up as needed, and I'm assembling the secondary shaft, ALL. Well, basically it's all the same. The bearing, the gear, the cones, the rings, the hub. Pretty much everything is the same as, for example, on 8-speed gearboxes. So the only thing that's different here is the primary shaft. How is it different? Is that we can change the constant mesh gear. And accordingly, if we changed it, one is a bit bigger, one is a bit smaller. So the intermediate shaft gets a new gear ratio and all the gears change too. That's it. To put it simply, the difference between an 8-speed gearbox and a 16-speed gearbox. And then we also have a demultiplier, a reduction gear at the output. That's all. Those are basically all the differences. Let's assemble the secondary shaft. So, we can see how the new ring sits on the new cone. The gap is more than 2 millimeters and the ring no longer rotates. First the needle bearing, then the gear, synchronizer cone, synchronizer ring, hub, snap ring, spring retainers, and sleeve. Now we install the gear, first gear. Basically everything is the same. Now first the ring, cone bearing, then gear. So I installed the first gear. Well, it's not just the first gear for us. Depending on the position of the demultiplier, depending on the position of the splitter, it serves as several gears at once. So I installed the reverse gear engagement splines. Now while it's hot, I'm installing the reverse gear bearing race. We can also see that we have oil channels here. That means there's an oil channel inside the shaft and oil is supplied to each gear. So the rear gear bearing also has a channel inside here, and it turns out that in any position, no matter how you install it, oil will still be supplied to the bearing. So I'm installing this race, the bearing and the reverse gear. Next, we put the bearing on here. Here is our new bearing. I compared the old one and the new one, checked everything, and they are exactly the same. So I'll put the race on the plate, the inner race, heat it up, put it on the shaft, and then install the bearing itself into the housing. That's it, I heated the race and put it on the shaft just to make it clear and visible. The bearing sits in the housing with a partition here. This is the gearbox housing, and this section contains the multipliers. Then we proceed with the installation. Neste os dia, here is the pinion, here is the planetary gear, the sun gear, and it already transmits torques to the multiplier. So now I installed this bearing into the housing, flipped it over, and I'm assembling the third and fourth gears. At first it was tight due to some misalignment or a burr, but then the race settled and began rotating. That means there's already some wear in the housing itself. So I applied, as usual, this kind of adhesive for bearings, for fixing bearings. I put a little on there and on the race here. I think this adhesive is great. It fills in the gap and everything will be fine. It's already set, everything's good now. For gaps like this with no play but a loose fit, this adhesive is essential. I turned the shaft over and will remove this race before assembling the gears. Here's the old bearing, the new bearing, and its included race. Alright, so I installed the bearings hot, tightened them. Now I'll wait for the bearings to cool down, and then I'll tighten this nut a bit more. Well, in about half an hour, maybe an hour or so, and then I'll stake it. So what else do I want to say? These cones and rings, it turns out, are the same for both synchronizers, right? The only thing is, you need to put this washer between the constant mesh gears. Here we can see that the cone is not sitting on the gear, but on this ring, and there's a gap. As I assemble the shaft and swap parts, I clear this table. For instance, since all of this was to be replaced, I put it in the box. Some parts I'll still use for the second gearbox, so for now I'll just put them here on the table. That's the process to keep things organized and avoid confusion. For example, I put on a new ring and cone, set aside the old one, install the new one, then remove it from the table, and repeat. Alright, that's how I've assembled the secondary shaft, and I've test fitted the primary shaft on the intermediate shaft. I just need to replace the bearings. I'll try removing them now, but may have to cut the races off with an angle grinder. As you can see, there's little space for a puller and no way to hook onto it from this side. I removed the secondary shaft from the vise, hung it on a belt, and secured the forks here with wire. There's enough space so I can easily remove it later. To assemble this gearbox, first install the secondary shaft with the forks, then the intermediate shaft, followed by the additional fork. I've installed the shaft. Now I need to insert the forks into those holes and press the retainer. I can't do anything with the camera here, but once it's in place I'll show you. It's installed now. It actually went quickly. We can see that the forks are in place and that retainer has already locked them in. Now I won't be able to take them out anymore. I haven't replaced the bearings yet. I tried, but they wouldn't come off. I'm going to use pullers since I need to replace the bearings now. I'll install the reverse idler gear right away, the intermediate one, and then I'll put in the intermediate shaft. Here are the two thrust washers and the bearings. I checked and cleaned everything. It's all fine. Then I inserted it like this. We move it all the way so there's room to install the intermediate shaft. After the intermediate shaft is in place, then we shift it into position and insert it. The shaft, or whatever you call it, gets fixed in place right here. I removed the bearings, taking one off intact. After removing the retaining ring, I used a press to push the gear and remove the bearing, then pressed the gear back on. With the second one, I tried everything, even chisels, but nothing worked. I used an angle grinder to cut the separator and race, made 2 cuts, tapped it until it cracked, then removed it. So next I installed the new bearings and then put the shaft back into the gearbox. Alright, that's it. I've installed the shafts, put in the intermediate reverse gear and tightened the bolt with thread locker. I also unscrewed and cleaned the magnetic plug, which had a lot of metal shavings as usual. After washing it, I'll put it back and install the filter right away using super glue. Alright, so that's it. I've installed the filter, tightened the plug, and now I'll immediately install the splitter shift fork. So first, the fork is installed, then the shaft is inserted separately and secured with these bolts. All the shafts are installed, forks are in place, so I'll close the cover now. Alright, next I'll install the oil pump. The oil pump has a new drive. Here's this little key. There's a hole here for it. It goes in here. Now I'll glue it in place with super glue. Alright, I've glued the key in place, let it dry. The keepers are covered with this kind of metal washer, and this washer just bends around the keepers. There's also a guide on the pump, and you can see in the cup in the front cover there's a matching part as well. Now I need to check if these washers fit or if I need different ones, and also replace the oil seal. I've installed the front cover, checked and adjusted the bearings, and selected the correct washers. For now it's just on the gasket without the pump or anything else. I tried to remove the cover to replace the oil seal, but after searching the entire gearbox I found there wasn't one. So either they forgot to order it or they didn't include it. So for now I'm just leaving it as is. So we'll come back to this later. I still removed the front cover. Why? To secure the key. Even though I used super glue, I'm worried that while turning or moving the gearbox or tapping it, it might fall out and fly off. So, what else do I want to say? Basically, I want to talk about a small mistake I made. What did I do? I installed the bearing, meaning I took it out of the package and saw that it looked correct. It all happened automatically. I unpacked it and saw its position. That's how it's meant to be. In gearboxes with a solid primary shaft and a splitter, install the washer first, then the race. And that's exactly how I installed it, but here it's supposed to be different. Here the race goes in first and then the washer on top. So why is that? Because, well, to disassemble this gearbox you need to remove the bearing and only then can you take off the cover. What am I trying to say? Well, it won't affect the operation in any way. You can assemble the bearing either way. It won't affect the operation at all. It will only affect future repairs, later on. If someone takes apart this gearbox, there will be problems removing this particular race. Well, it can be removed, but you need some kind of puller. You have to figure something out here. I didn't do it on purpose, though. It just happened automatically. Now I'm thinking of taking it apart and redoing it. But then I worried, what if I ruin the new bearing? It's expensive, and if I take it apart now somewhere along the way? So basically there's a chance I might ruin the bearing. That's why I decided to leave it as it is. Well, and I think that if things go well, this gearbox won't need repairs in the coming years, so we'll leave it like this. Well, I just wanted to mention that I made this small mistake. After all, the human factor can't be avoided. I didn't have time to record my conversation about the oil seal and bearing. Once Supply gave me a new oil seal, everything was fine. Now I'm replacing the old one with the new oil seal. So I installed the oil seal, installed the oil pump, and aligned the key with the bolt, like this, in this direction. I applied sealant, installed the gasket and key, and aligned everything with the bolt. The rings are set, one here and two here, one thick, one very thin. Alright, since we have an oil seal with a spring, we need to put a drop of oil under it. Alright, let's continue further. I assembled the shifting mechanism now, since it's easier while the gearbox is in this position. I also need to check the gear shifting. With the Demultiplier later, it won't be harder, just less convenient. So this is roughly how it looks, but for now I just fitted it as a test. So these are basically numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one has an X on it. Where the X is written, we replaced this one and put in a new one. This bolt was broken, but I've replaced it. That's how I fitted it for now. There's another similar bolt here that I haven't tightened yet because I still need to compress these springs. Basically, now I'm taking everything out, putting the barrels on sealant like I usually do, and that's it. I'll start assembling. So here we have 6 of these little bushings or barrels or keys. I'm not sure what to call them. You can name them however you like. And these grooves are for these bolts. So the bolt goes in like this and gets fixed in place. There's one here and another one at the very end. I've screwed in 4 bolts and attached the fork. And I want to check the gear shifting. I still need to install the air valve and some retainers here, but I'll put those on a bit later. So to check the gear shifting, I need to insert the shaft, well, not the shaft, the rod for engaging the splitter. That way it will press for me. Right now my forks are locked in place by this retainer, and to release it I need to insert the shaft. Basically, as we can see, all the gears engage in this position. I can only shift 2 synchronizers actually, well, for the gears themselves. I can also shift the splitter, but right now it's engaged in one position and that's all I need. And I can also engage reverse gear. So in all the other gears, the demultiplier is already involved and the splitter is in this position. Basically, what I needed to check was that these synchronizers engage properly, and I've checked that everything is fine. Now I can install the demultiplier. Next, I need to assemble the demultiplier. So, my gear has heated up. I'll put it in now. Don't forget to install the race, well, the washer, part of the race. I installed the bearing washer from the race, added the sun gear, put on the washer, and tightened the bolts with thread locker. There was some wire here too, and I want to add it. I instantly remembered this joke. A boy boards a tram and punches 2 tickets. Someone asks why he has 2 tickets. He says, well, what if I lose one? Then I'll have the second. They ask, what if you lose the second one? Well, in that case, I have a travel pass. It's kind of like that. I used thread locker and added wire. I've finished assembling the demultiplier. The cone was a tight fit, but I added 2 clamps anyway. I don't want this to fall apart during installation. So, I got this torque wrench that goes from 150 to 800 Newton meters 3/4 drive. The socket is 3/4 as well. So is the brand also King Tony? People often ask me to recommend a brand. Well, here you go, get King Tony if you don't mind spending the money. But this is a real thing, a thing with a capital T. It's a professional tool, up to 800 Newton meters. Its length is 1 meter 20 or 1 meter 26, I think. In future videos I'll show and explain it in more detail and so on. What else is here? Wow, there's a key, a lock with keys. Cool. So, this hose will replace the current one here. I'm redoing everything and will install a filter with a regulator and lubricator. It hasn't arrived yet, I'm still waiting. So after that, this hose will go from it. Here we have 20 meters. It says Italian. I picked it for quality, not just any Chinese product, that's all. This hose connects here with quick couplers. And now I'll show you what it's for. Well, basically, I guess it's already clear what's in this case. So in this case, we have a pneumatic impact wrench, sockets from 10 to 27, 3 extended sockets, an impact extension, then this joint and an impact adapter for the quick coupler, and the wrench itself with adjustable torque. So this wrench, I think, goes up to 675 Newton meters of impact force. I chose a small one, though I consider it a 3/4 size. I got this for now and plan to get a bigger one later. I won't mention the price. If you're interested, check any website. Just know it's not cheap. That's it. So I showed you these new things. That's not all, though. There will be more in the future. So I'm actually making a big, you could even say acquisition, not just an update, because I don't really have much to update. So I'm making a big, large-scale purchase of tools. The biggest purchase will be tomorrow. I paid for it over a week ago, but I'll pick it up tomorrow evening after work at the shipping company. I ordered it online from the store, yet there won't be any links to online stores, no links to the product, nothing like that. This isn't an ad, I'm just showing what I bought for myself. So the tools that I also bought I'll show in the next episodes. Maybe I'll even make a separate review of all these tools, so there will be a series like that. Or to write in the comments whether I should do it or not, maybe it's not worth it. I mean, this isn't even half of what I have, it's probably just 1/3. And about the pullers, I think I'll have a good hydraulic puller, probably from the same company. I'm still deciding and choosing some tools. Alright, I've been talking a lot about these tools, but honestly I just feel happy about all these tools. I'm imagining how great it'll be to work with all this. Now I'm putting the tools away and returning to the gearbox. I'm installing the cover, planning to paint it today, and might mount the gearbox on the engine tonight. Alright, the cover is installed and tightened. Now I'll go ahead and install the release bearing. So, the release bearing. We have a new one and a new hose to supply lubricant between the release bearing and the sleeve. So, I took the release bearing out of the package and we can see that there's already grease on it. That is, in the area where it moves along the sleeve, we can see the factory grease has already been applied. So, well, I'm also going to apply a little grease to the sleeve itself. So here we have the old release bearing. And I very often see the situation where this hose is screwed directly into the release bearing. I mean, it will screw in, the threads will fit, but we won't have a proper stop. Yeah, apparently it just wobbles back and forth in there, so that's not correct. First, you need to install this kind of fitting. So the fitting is installed into the release bearing itself, and then the tube is inserted into this fitting, where there's a cone that provides the stop. So I install the fitting, hose, and then the release bearing onto the gearbox. I've installed the release bearing and assembled everything. So the release bearing is secured to the fork with these clips at the top and bottom. I installed the hose, bent it a little here so everything is good, it moves well. You shouldn't forget to lubricate regularly. According to the maintenance schedule, at the first service you need to grease all the grease fittings, lubricate, check the kingpins and so on. What else is there? I don't know, the drive shafts and so on. You also need to remember to lubricate them. And here it's on the gearbox. My gearbox is assembled. What should I do next? Now I'm preparing the gearbox for painting. As usual, I'll cover all the mating surfaces with tape, the sensors, the fork, and so on. Basically, I'm getting it ready for painting now. Alright, so the gearbox is now prepared for painting. I've sealed everything off just like I said I would. So I've hung it up like this and I'll be painting it in this position. I've already mixed the primer. It's the same primer I used for the engine. So people ask to show the paint code and the name of the paint. It's just dark blue. Alright, I've already mixed the primer and I'm starting to paint now. Alright, that's it. The gearbox is fully assembled and ready. Next, I'll install it on the engine, then we'll put the engine in the car. I'll wrap up this episode now. I've uploaded the footage into the editing program and have almost 5 hours of video. I'm not sure yet if I'll use this footage for one episode or two. As for repairing this gearbox, if I make it into one episode, I'll have to squeeze everything into an hour and cut some things out. I haven't started editing yet. Also, my second gearbox is still being repaired and I probably won't film the third. What's the point? It's all the same. I'll definitely film the transfer case, but it's still disassembled and we're waiting for parts, which will take at least 2 more weeks. The episode about the transfer case will be delayed since we're still waiting for the parts. I'm not sure if I can film the installation, but I'll try. No promises. I'd like to film the installation and the car leaving the garage, but it's still unclear when that will happen. If the transfer case arrives, the parts will be here in at least 2 weeks, then it will take more time to install and finish. Roughly speaking, 3 weeks or a month, somewhere around that time frame. I'm tired of filming, working, shooting, and editing. Basically, I'm just tired of everything. This episode will be released, and then there will be a short break on the channel, maybe a week or two. I'll try to release a new episode by my birthday, by June 17. And I also want to say that it's very important to like this video and leave a comment under it. And I'll also remind you that donations are welcome. The final view count depends on regular viewers like you. Your activity, likes, and comments determine how many views this video gets. Because it takes me a lot of effort and a lot of time to shoot and edit this video. So it really means a lot to me. That's why I want to thank everyone listening. Thank you all so much. I'll wrap up this video here. That's how the gearbox repair turned out, and that's how the video turned out. Thanks for watching, good luck, and goodbye.